Hey everybody, he's Andy Bunker.
And he's Greg Huntoon.
And this is the BUCOMGrad podcast.
Welcome in to episode 1 of the BUCOMGrad podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. My name's Andy Bunker. I'm sitting alongside Greg Huntoon. We're both current graduate students here at the College of Communication. We're both broadcast sports graduate students. And just a couple years ago, we were in the exact same place that you're in right now, in the application process. I graduated from the University of Washington, way out in the Pacific Northwest, back in 2007. I took a handful of years off between undergraduate and decided to come back to graduate school. And for me, it was an interesting process, deciding to go back to school, taking the GRE, writing essays, sort of getting back into that academic mindset. And it was really nice to have a lot of the people at the College of Communication to help me through the process. What we're aiming to do with this podcast is be a little more interactive with the people who are applying and try to answer as many of your questions directly as we can, because we know you have a lot of questions, and we know this is a big decision for a lot of people, and it's really important to us that we make this process as simple and as useful for you as we can. So that's what we're going to try to do here with the podcast. Greg?
My name is Greg Huntoon. I'm originally from the great state of Michigan. I did my undergrad here at BU, actually. I was a mathematics major, and so I did a lot of questions as to why I went into sports broadcast journalism, but I'm not going to get into that story here. But in 2011, I graduated, and I applied to COM, and I got in, so I can relate. Andy can relate to those who have maybe taken time off. I can relate very well to those who are in their senior year right now looking for the next step in their lives, and came to COM. I've had a great time, great experience, and I just think it's going to be great that we can help people through the application process, answer all their questions, because, as Andy said, you guys have them, and we want to make sure it's as easy as possible.
And one thing I think you notice right away, just between you and I, is that there's a pretty good different type of backgrounds that people come from at the College of Communication. Like you said, you came straight from undergraduate. You went to Boston University in undergraduate, and you decided to come to graduate school here. Mm-hmm. I spent 5 years not in school, working professionally all the way across the country, and I decided to come here. And now we're both sitting in the same radio studio recording a podcast. So people come from all over the place.
All over. And we can answer a lot of questions, but not just from our field. We also work in the graduate services department, and so we can answer a lot of questions from different fields. And when we can't get the right answer, we bring in people who can give us those answers.
Yeah, so this is going to be one of the beautiful things of the podcast, is the guests that we're able to go out and get. We have an incredible Rolodex of people that can answer questions that you're going to have. We've got the financial aid advisor, Bill Taylor, who if you don't know BT, you're gonna know him because he's the money guy.
He's the money. More money, more problems, except with BT, he is not a problem at all.
Not a problem, and it's not going to be a problem for him to come up here and answer your questions. Now, Dean Sabovic is someone who's worked at COM for a few years. She knows the way things work around here, and to get Dean Sabovic up here in the radio studio answering questions, she's on the inside.
She's got the insider information.
One of the other exciting guests, maybe the most exciting guest, someone we're going to have later today.
The magical Mr. COMGrad.
The magical Mr. COMGrad, Manny Dotel himself. If you've emailed comgrad@bu.edu before, chances are Manny has been the one that has responded to you, answering your questions, pointing you in the right direction. Manny is the guy who sort of makes things happen here at COM.
But most importantly, how we're going to answer the questions. We're going to answer questions that we think you guys want answered. Questions we get, whether it's through email, whether it's through people stopping by, whether it's when we go out on the road, questions we get directly from potential students. We're going to answer those questions. We also want to hear your questions directly. We want to know if you guys have specific things going on for you. We want to be able to answer it on here, because odds are, if you have a question, someone else has it too.
How can they ask us those questions, Greg?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, Andy. They can do it in multiple ways. Since we are very 21st century and tech savvy, you can do it via email, through the email address comgrad@bu.edu, or via Twitter. And you want to give that Twitter handle, Andy?
Yeah, the Twitter handle is @BUCOMGrad. Again, @BUCOMGrad. We are on Twitter. We are on email. We are on Facebook.
We're everywhere.
Well, that'll do it for us here on episode 1 of the BUCOMGrad podcast. Hopefully we gave people an idea of what you and I are like, but more importantly, hopefully we made people feel comfortable enough to send us their questions.
Please send us questions.
And didn't creep them out too
Yes.
much. The goal is to try to help as much as we possibly can. So hopefully you find this to be a useful tool in your application process. Again, don't be afraid. There's no such thing as a bad question. If you're wondering, there's a good chance somebody else is wondering the same thing. So until next time, which will be later today, good luck with the application process and live it.